Awakening on Proxima. Commander Elena Reyes gasped as her lungs filled with their first breath in centuries. The cryopod slid open with a hiss, releasing tendrils of frigid vapor. Emergency lights pulsed crimson against metal walls. Her body felt strange, lighter somehow, yet her muscles ached with the memory of suspended animation. "Status report," she croaked, her voice raw from disuse. "Welcome back, Commander Reyes," responded ARIA, the ship's artificial intelligence. "It has been approximately 1,247 years since departure from Earth. All systems are operating at minimal capacity. We have crash-landed on planet Proxima b." Elena's mind reeled. Over 1,000 years. The mission parameters had specified a 78-year journey to Kepler 186f. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. "The colonists?" she asked, dreading the answer. "All 10,000 colonists are currently in reanimation sequence. Survival rate is projected at 99.87%. One small mercy in what appeared to be a disaster." Elena pulled herself from the pod, muscles protesting as she steadied herself against a wall. The artificial gravity seemed stronger than Earth standard. Through a viewport, she saw an alien landscape, rust-colored sand stretching toward the horizon, punctuated by bizarre rock formations that resembled inverted icicles reaching toward the sky. Chief Science Officer Maya Wong appeared beside her, eyes wide as she stared through the viewport. "That's not Kepler." "No," Elena confirmed. "ARIA says we're on Proxima b. We're over 1,000 light-years off course." Within hours, the command team had assembled in what remained of the bridge. Security Director Tomas Esposito displayed tactical projections, while Engineering Chief Hiroshi Nakamura delivered the grim news. "The ship is beyond repair," Hiroshi said, gesturing to the damage assessments. "Power core is stable but depleted. Life support can sustain us for approximately 3 months before we need to establish external systems." Elena studied the faces of her team. They had trained for colonization, but not like this, not after a catastrophic landing on the wrong planet after more than a millennium in space. "Our mission hasn't changed," she said firmly. "We came to build a new human world. It just happens to be here instead of Kepler." The next week passed in a blur of controlled chaos. The massive colony ship, aptly named Endeavor, became the center of their fledgling settlement. Solar arrays deployed across the rust-colored landscape, harvesting energy from Proxima Centauri's red dwarf star that hung perpetually low on the horizon, bathing everything in a permanent sunset glow. Water was their most pressing concern. Scans indicated minimal atmospheric moisture, though preliminary drilling suggested underground reservoirs might exist. Each colonist received strict water rations as engineers worked to establish a sustainable supply. On the 10th day, Elena led the first exterior expedition, accompanied by Maya, Tomas, and 3 specialists. They ventured beyond the immediate crash site toward the strange spire formations visible in the distance. Their environmental suits protected them from the harsh radiation and temperature fluctuations as they traversed the alien terrain. "These formations can't be natural," Maya said, examining the base of the nearest spire. It rose nearly 60 meters into the sky, its surface smooth with geometrically precise ridges spiraling upward. "The material resembles silicate compounds, but the molecular structure is unlike anything in our database." Elena approached, running a gloved hand along the surface. To her astonishment, faint luminescence trailed her touch, patterns of soft blue light expanding outward like ripples in water. "It's responding," she whispered. The ground beneath them trembled. Tomas drew his sidearm as the team retreated several steps. A section of the spire's base receded, revealing an entrance that hadn't been visible before. Cool air wafted from the darkness within. "We should return to base for reinforcements," Tomas suggested, but Elena's curiosity outweighed her caution. "ARIA, are you receiving our feed?" she asked into her comm. "Affirmative, Commander. I am analyzing the structure." detecting power signatures consistent with advanced technology, though patterns suggest dormancy for an extended period. The team descended into the structure, helmet lights illuminating a corridor that sloped gently downward. The walls were inscribed with unfamiliar symbols, yet something about them nagged at Elena's memory. Certain patterns seemed almost recognizable, like distant cousins to human writing systems. They entered a vast chamber, their lights barely penetrating the darkness. Maya activated a portable illuminator that cast light across the space. Consoles lined the walls, covered in dust, but unmistakably designed for interaction. In the center stood a raised platform with what appeared to be a control interface. This was built for humanoid users, Maya observed, pointing to the height and configuration of the consoles. Elena approached the central platform, finding an impression that unmistakably matched a human hand. Following instinct more than reason, she removed her glove and placed her palm against the surface. The chamber hummed to life. Lights activated in sequence around the perimeter, and the consoles began to glow with internal illumination. A holographic display materialized above the platform, a three-dimensional star map that rotated slowly, with certain points pulsing with greater brightness. A voice spoke from hidden speakers. The language was initially incomprehensible, then shifted through several phonetic patterns before settling into recognizable English. Human genetic signature confirmed. Temporal displacement, approximately 5,243 solar cycles since last access. Welcome to Outpost Proxima. The team exchanged stunned glances. This facility was designed by humans, Elena asked. Confirmed. Outpost Proxima was established in Earth year 2157 as part of the first expansion initiative. Elena felt dizzy. That's impossible. Earth hadn't developed interstellar travel in 2157. Our mission launched in 3018, and we were the third colony ship ever constructed. The system paused before responding. Historical records indicate 17 waves of human expansion throughout this galactic sector, beginning in 2129. Data suggests a comprehensive memory revision protocol was implemented on Earth following the Severance event in 2784. Severance event? Maya asked. The catastrophic collapse of the quantum entanglement network that connected all human colonies across 317 inhabited systems. The implication struck Elena like a physical blow. Humanity had already colonized hundreds of worlds thousands of years ago, only to lose contact with each other when some network collapsed. And somehow, this knowledge had been deliberately erased from Earth's history. Before they could process this revelation, Thomas's comm crackled with an urgent message from the settlement. Commander, we have a situation. Unknown entities approaching from the eastern quadrant. They rushed back to the surface to find the settlement in alert status. Through binoculars, Elena observed a group of figures moving across the desert. They weren't human, taller and more slender, with elongated limbs and what appeared to be translucent membranes extending between their arms and torsos. First contact scenario, she murmured, turning to her team. Defensive posture but non-aggressive. Let's see who our neighbors are. The beings approached cautiously, stopping 100 meters from the perimeter. One stepped forward, raising four-fingered hands in what seemed like a universal gesture of peace. It was humanoid but distinctly alien, skin the color of the planet's sand with intricate patterns that shifted like oil on water, large eyes with horizontal pupils adapted for the dim red sunlight. Elena walked forward slowly, hands visible, stopping at the halfway point between them. The alien mimicked her movements until they stood 3 meters apart. It spoke in a melodic language full of clicks and trilling sounds. After a moment, it touched a device at its throat, and its next words emerged as halting English. We are the Void Singers. We have watched your arrival from the ancient spires. You are the returned ones. The returned ones? Elena questioned. The alien's eyes blinked in a rippling pattern. Long ago, beings like you dwelled among the spires. They'd brought water from beneath the sands and made the dead lands live. Then they vanished when the stars changed. Our stories say they promised to return. And now you have. That night, as the colonists established their first true settlement around the massive hull of the Endeavor, Elena stood at the command center with her senior staff, attempting to process everything they'd learned. Maya displayed findings from the alien structure on the main screen. The outpost's archives confirm it, she said. Humans established a colony here over 5,000 years ago. They possess technology far beyond our current capabilities: quantum entanglement communications, matter conversion engines, terraforming systems that could transform entire planets in decades rather than centuries. But something went wrong, Hiroshi added. When this quantum network collapsed, all the colonies lost contact with each other. The technologies they relied on began to fail without the distributed computing power of the network. Thomist frowned. And somehow, Earth forgot all of this, erased its own history. According to the archives, Maya continued, it was deliberate. The collapse caused catastrophic failures in critical systems across all colonies. Billions died. Earth's leadership implemented something called the Preservation Protocol. They destroyed all records of the previous expansion efforts and restricted technological development to prevent another disaster. Leaving colonies like this one to die, Elena said quietly, looking out at the alien landscape where humans had once thrived. Not entirely, Maya countered. The archives indicate they left behind dormant systems like this outpost, designed to reactivate when humans returned. They knew we would eventually rediscover interstellar travel and find these worlds again. The revelation was interrupted when the settlement's sensors detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere. Elena rushed outside with her team to see brilliant streaks cutting across the darkening sky. Ships, dozens of them, descending toward the planet's surface several hundred kilometers to the east. The Voidsingers mentioned others sharing this world, Thomas recalled. Looks like we're about to meet them. The Voidsinger elder, who called herself Lyra, arrived before dawn with urgent news. The Krazak have come, she told Elena, her translator device converting her musical language. They rule many worlds from beyond the void. They take what they wish and destroy what remains. They have ignored our people as unworthy of notice, but your arrival has drawn their attention. Elena looked to the eastern horizon, where dust clouds were now visible. How much time do we have? They will come with the next rising of the sun. They have machines that move across the sands like water flows over stone. Elena turned to her team. Prepare the settlement for possible hostile contact, and get me everything you can from those archives about defensive systems. Legacy of the stars. The Krazak arrived as Lyra had predicted, with the rising of Proxima Centauri. Their vehicles were massive, hovering above the desert surface on invisible force fields, each carrying dozens of soldiers. They halted 2 kilometers from the human settlement, and a single figure emerged from the lead vehicle. Through high-powered optics, Elena observed their first Krazak visitor. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with an exoskeletal body covered in iridescent plates that shifted colors with movement. Multiple limbs suggested both strength and dexterity, while the head featured compound eyes and mandibles that clicked rhythmically as it moved. Their empire spans 17 star systems, Lyra explained as they watched the approaching envoy. They expand by finding resource-rich worlds and stripping them bare. My people have survived by offering nothing they consider valuable. Until we arrived, Elena said grimly. The Krazak envoy stopped at the settlement perimeter, flanked by 4 heavily armed guards. Up close, the alien was even more imposing, its exoskeleton incorporating what appeared to be technological enhancements, with glowing circuitry visible beneath translucent plates. I am Nexus Commander Vexkar. It announced through a translation device. This world falls under Krazak protection. Your presence is unauthorized. Identify your species and origin. Elena stepped forward. I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth. We are human colonists. Our ship was damaged and we landed here for survival. We claim only what we need to live. The compound eyes flickered with shifting light patterns. Earth, unknown. Humans, The alien paused, mandibles clicking rapidly. Humans are a myth, a legend of primitive species. If you are indeed human, then you fall under Ancient Species Regulation 5.1. Immediate quarantine and resource acquisition. We're not a resource to be acquired, Elena replied firmly. Your biological matter and technology will be processed, your knowledge extracted. The Krazik Empire preserves the essence of extinct species while utilizing their physical components efficiently. With that, the envoy turned and departed. Elena watched it return to the waiting vehicles, a cold weight settling in her stomach. They believe humans are extinct, Maya whispered, like some kind of interstellar archaeological find. That's why they reacted so strongly to our arrival, Hiroshi added. If humans once had a vast civilization that somehow collapsed or disappeared, then we're valuable specimens, Elena finished. But they're about to discover that humans aren't as extinct as they believe. The human settlement transformed into a defensive position overnight. Using schematics from the ancient outpost, engineers adapted salvaged ship components to create rudimentary energy barriers. Colonists with military training organized into defense teams, while others worked to accelerate water extraction and food production. The Void Singers offered their aid, bringing knowledge of the planet's geography and hidden resources. Beneath the ancient human structures lie pathways unknown to the Krazik. Lyra revealed, showing Elena hidden maps accessed through the outpost's systems. My ancestors worked alongside your ancestors before the Great Silence fell between worlds. 3 days later, the Krazik returned in force. Hundreds of vessels descended from orbit, establishing positions around the human settlement. Their ultimatum was simple: surrender for processing or be destroyed. Elena stood in the outpost's central chamber, studying the star map that now displayed tactical information about the Krazik fleet. There must be something here we can use, she said to Maya and Hiroshi. Our ancestors wouldn't have left this facility without some form of protection. Hiroshi's eyes widened as he examined a previously locked section of the database. Commander, I think I found something. According to these records, there's a planetary defense network in dormant status. It was designed to activate only for authorized human operators in case of emergency. Can we access it? Maybe. The authentication requires genetic confirmation from a human with command authority. Elena placed her hand on the central console. This is Commander Elena Reyes requesting emergency activation of planetary defenses. Authorization code: Endeavor Alpha 73. The system hummed as it processed her request. Genetic pattern confirmed. Command authority verified. Warning: Defense network has been dormant for 5,243 years. Functionality may be compromised. Proceed with activation. Proceed, Elena confirmed. Across the planet's surface, ancient structures began to awaken. The spires that dotted the landscape glowed with internal light, energy signatures building as dormant systems initialized. In orbit, satellites that had been mistaken for small moons activated, their surfaces shifting to reveal weapons arrays that hadn't been fired in millennia. The Krazik detected the energy surge too late. Precise energy beams lanced from the orbital platforms, targeting propulsion and weapons systems on the largest vessels. On the ground, the spires projected energy fields that disrupted the Krazik vehicle's levitation technology, sending them crashing into the sand. The defenses are targeting their technology, but minimizing casualties, Maya observed, watching the tactical display. They're being disabled, not destroyed. The Krazik forces retreated in disarray, their superior numbers meaningless against weapons designed specifically to counter their technology. Within hours, a new communication arrived from Nexus Commander Vexkar. You control Ancient One technology, the Krazik leader stated, mandibles clicking in what might have been agitation. Explain. We told you, Elena replied. We are human. This world once belonged to our ancestors, and they left these defenses knowing we might someday return. We don't seek conflict with the Krazik Empire, but we will defend ourselves and our new home. The compound eyes flickered through rapid color changes. Impossible. The Ancient Ones vanished from the galaxy 5,000 cycles ago. Their technology has been sought by all spacefaring species since the Great Silence. The Ancient Ones were human, Elena explained. We are their descendants, though much of our history was lost to us as well. We're rediscovering our past just as you are witnessing it. For several moments, the Krasek leader remained silent, its exoskeletal plates shifting in complex patterns. Finally, it responded. The High Nexus must reevaluate. A species believed extinct controlling Ancient One technology changes many calculations. We will withdraw to orbit and await communication from our central authority. As the Krasek forces pulled back, the human settlement erupted in cautious celebration. The immediate threat had passed, though Elena knew this was merely the beginning of a complicated relationship with the galactic community they'd unwittingly entered. In the weeks that followed, humans and Voidsingers worked together to explore more of the ancient facilities. Each discovery revealed new aspects of humanity's forgotten interstellar past. Advanced medical technology that could extend human lifespans threefold, agricultural systems designed to terraform desert worlds, and star charts detailing hundreds of former human colonies. The Krasek returned eventually, not as conquerors but as cautious diplomats. Their empire had been built on the remnants of human technology discovered across dozens of worlds. The revelation that living humans controlled the source of that technology fundamentally altered the power dynamics of the entire region. 6 months after their awakening on Proxima, Elena stood with Lyra atop the colony's new central tower, watching as the first true building not salvaged from the Endeavor neared completion. Around them, the settlement had expanded into a true town, with gardens beginning to flourish thanks to ancient hydroponic systems adapted to modern use. Your ancestors spoke of a cycle, Lyra said, her translator now programmed with much more nuanced language. They believe civilizations rise and fall like the twin moons, but knowledge, preserved carefully, allows each new cycle to reach further than the last. Elena nodded, watching colonists and Voidsingers working side by side. In orbit, a Krasek diplomatic vessel maintained position, its presence a reminder of the complex interstellar politics they now navigated. We came here to build a colony, she said, never imagining we were actually returning to reclaim what was once ours. Now we have a chance to reconnect with our past while building something entirely new. In the distance, another spire awakened, its lights pulsing in welcome as it detected human presence after 5 millennia of waiting. Beneath the rust-colored sands of Proxima, the seeds of a new civilization took root, not just human, but a blend of species united by the rediscovery of ancient knowledge and the promise of a shared future among the stars. Humanity had returned to the stars not as conquerors or refugees, but as inheritors of a legacy they had forgotten. And perhaps, this time, they would build something that would truly endure.